You know, some of the most powerful stories are forged in the most unbelievable circumstances. Today, we're going to talk about the incredible life of Lai Lu, a man whose journey from political dissident to one of the world's most respected investors, well, it offers a profound lesson in resilience, conviction, and true character.
And this isn't just another story about making money. No, this is a story about what happens when the absolute chaos of history meets the deep, patient calm of a brilliant mind.
To really understand the investor, you first have to understand the survivor. Because Li Lu was born into a world that, for all intents and purposes, was designed to break him.
So, picture this. His life begins in 1966, right at the start of China's chaotic cultural revolution. His parents, both intellectuals, were branded class enemies and shipped off to labor camps. This left him to be shuffled between different foster families. And then, in 1976, he survives the Great Tangshan earthquake, an absolutely catastrophic event that killed over 240,000 people, including the family that was taking care of him at the time. And as if that wasn't enough, by 1989, he's a university student and finds himself as one of the key leaders at the heart of the Tiananmen Square protest.
After the government crackdown, his entire world just crumbles. He was disowned by his own family.
He had absolutely nothing, no one to turn to and nowhere to go. And on top of it all, he was now being hunted by the state. He was put on China's most wanted list, a fugitive. His only shot at survival was a secret network called Operation Yellowbird, which managed to smuggle him out of the country and into a brand new, completely uncertain life.
So he gets to America with, and I mean this literally, nothing but the clothes on his back. And while all these journalists and academics were bombarding him with these huge, philosophical questions about democracy in China, one person saw the simple human reality of his situation.
Those two simple questions from a woman named Mary Daly, they were a lifeline. For his first 6 months in the United States, he actually lived in her living room. And it was from that foundation of just basic human kindness that he started the monumental task of rebuilding his life from scratch.
And man, did he throw himself into his education. His discipline was just unreal. He studied English from 8 in the morning till 8 at night every single day. He got into Columbia University, which happened to be the same university his grandfather attended. And then he went on to become one of the first students in the school's entire history to earn 3 degrees all at the same time: a bachelor's, a law degree, and an MBA.
But you know, even as he was building this whole new life, he had this nagging question in the back of his mind. How is he actually going to make a living? As it turns out, a complete chance encounter would set him on the exact path that would define the rest of his career.
So a friend tells him, "Hey, you've got to go hear this guy talk. He really knows how to make money." Lu completely mishears the name. He thinks he heard the word buffet, so he figures, hey, free lunch, and decides to go. Well, to his surprise, there was no lunch. There was just a guy giving a lecture, a guy named Warren Buffett.
But for Li Lu, hearing Buffett lay out the principles of value investing, it was a complete revelation. This wasn't the crazy, frantic noise of day trading or speculation he'd imagined. This was a rational, logical framework built on hard work and independent thinking, qualities that had been forged in his own fight for survival. The philosophy just clicked, and 2 ideas in particular became the absolute bedrock of his entire career.
Okay, so the first big idea is something called fiduciary duty. And look, in the world of finance, this can feel like just another piece of legal jargon, right? An abstract rule. But for Li Lu, it became something intensely personal.
He framed this idea in this deeply personal way. And that quote, it just transforms a dry legal term into a profound moral responsibility. It's not just about a client's money, it's about your parents' life savings. For a man who literally started with nothing, capital isn't some abstract number on a screen, it's a sacred trust.
All right, the second core concept is intellectual honesty. And really, all this means is having the discipline to see the world as it actually is, not as you wish it were.
I mean, for a guy whose very survival depended on seeing reality for what it was, intellectual honesty wasn't just some nice virtue. It was a survival tool. He understood that the market is like a ruthless mirror. It will find any flaw in your logic, any bit of self-deception or wishful thinking, and it will punish you for it. In investing, just like in life, honesty isn't just the right thing to do, it's essential.
So these principles, this powerful mix of moral responsibility and clear-eyed intellectual rigor, they're what led him to start his own firm, Himalaya Capital, back in 1997.
And they also led him to a friendship that will become the stuff of legend, his relationship with Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime partner.
Just let that sink in for a second. This quote, it says everything. For Charlie Munger, one of the sharpest investment minds in modern history, to entrust a huge chunk of his own family's wealth to an outside manager is, well, it's an almost unheard of endorsement. It's the ultimate vote of confidence, not just in Li Lu's skill as an investor, but in his character as a person.
So what does all of this philosophy actually look like in practice? Well, Li Lu's firm, Himalaya Capital, is a direct reflection of his core principles. You could almost think of it as an island of long-term, patient thinking in a vast ocean of short-term noise.
And when you put his approach side by side with the way the modern market often operates, wow, the difference is just night and day. Where a lot of people are obsessed with daily trades and constant media chatter, Li Lu is all about deep research inside a very narrow circle of competence. He avoids making big predictions and keeps an incredibly low profile. His whole approach is built on focus and conviction, not hype and speculation.
His firm is actually structured a lot like a miniature Berkshire Hathaway. It's a small, incredibly focused team that's just dedicated to doing deep research on a handful of companies. They don't advertise, they don't chase new clients, their reputation is their only marketing. And it's this patient approach that led them to one of their most famous investments ever, the Chinese company BYD, which they found and invested in way back in 2002, years before it became a household name.
You know, when you step back and you connect all the dots of his incredible life, from the absolute chaos of the Cultural Revolution to the quiet, disciplined world of value investing, a really powerful lesson starts to emerge.
And that right there, that's the heart of his philosophy. And it goes so much deeper than just finance. It's about perseverance. It's about having the sheer grit to just keep putting one foot in front of the other, even when the path forward is foggy, trusting that your dedication and honest work will eventually get you where you need to go.
And that really leaves us with a critical question, especially for today. In a world that is completely obsessed with speed and instant gratification, maybe Li Lu's story teaches us that the most valuable asset isn't how fast you can move, but having the enduring strength to protect not just your capital, but your convictions over the long haul.